Hi, George Fasching here, helping you unlock your team's genius. In this video, I'm focusing on the definition of ready. This is another episode in the Power of 3 series where I'm spending just 3 minutes on my top 3 encouragements and tips on a particular subject. And with that, let us put 3 minutes on the clock and take a closer look at the definition of ready starting now. Right. So in Agile product management with Scrum, it is a very common practice, but I don't see it in all the teams. So I thought it's worth pointing out and including it and doing an episode on it. So the first thing is to actually review whether you would benefit from a definition of ready. And a definition of ready is, of course, a little bit of an insurance policy for the team when it comes to the fidelity or refinement level of items that you agree to take into a planning iteration, that you agree to take into a sprint. So at the least, it could be a very valuable checklist to ensure that you are indeed ready to start work on a particular item. So the first thing, besides actually having one, that I encourage you to do is to remember its purpose, right? Its purpose is to ensure that you only start work on things where you have lowered the degree of uncertainty to a degree where it is reasonable to take the item into the sprint, where the team hasn't done enough preparation on it and has prepared everything that it needs to in order to have a very good chance of being able to complete the item in the next planning iteration, right? So that is the first one. Firstly, have one. It is usually very valuable to do so, and remember its purpose. The second thing that I'd like for you to do is tied to the overall backlog management, is to actually balance the value versus the risk of how you're describing your definition of ready. So you want to ensure that you do just enough work on a particular backlog item before you start the real work on it in a planning iteration, in a sprint, and do only that amount of work that allows you to then be able to finish the work in the planning iteration, right? So if you have particular risk factors that you need to include, so for example, I worked with a team in the past where we had a very specific requirement for sign-offs. It would have been very risky for us to leave those sign-offs in the inside of the planning iteration. So we agreed overall that we need to do a bit more work upfront in order to manage that risk. It's generally not a really practice that I would recommend, but just as an example of where you need to balance value versus risk. And the last thing I would like to you encourage to do when it comes to the definition of ready in your agile working is to also review it regularly. You might start off with a definition of ready at the beginning of the product lifecycle when you're getting together as a team, and then over time things change and you might be able to do a little bit less or a little bit more or things a little bit differently. So just because you agree on the definition of ready at the beginning does not mean it has to be exactly that way over time. Very much so you need to review it on a somewhat regular basis. And with that, our time is up. And these were my top 3 tips and encouragements when it comes to the definition of ready. Hopefully this will help you further improve your practice in your team and also help you with your backlog refinement. And with that, all the best for your practice in your team. I look forward to hearing back from you, sharing the thoughts that you have and ideas for new topics in the comments below, and please like, share and subscribe this, and until the next video, all the best. Thank you. Bye bye.